Let's talk about society and politics. Presented by Smith Co. Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk About Society and Politics, the show where we talk about society and politics. Today we're going to be talking about buying education. So obviously, we've talked about private schools and public schools. We've talked about how, we've talked about a lot of things, but one of the things that we're going to talk about today is buying education. So essentially, this is whereby people pay for their education to be advanced. Now, this is mainly present in universities, whereby universities are, a lot of the time, there are multiple countries around the world that offer varying standards, but it is relatively free, first level and second level education. But when it comes to third level, they actually tend to go off a little bit. Now, what's strange about this is because it doesn't really make much sense, because surely you're educating someone, like, that's it, you're educating someone. So it's weird that they would suddenly go up. But then you see the prices of universities in a lot of countries, and it's pretty substantial. In just some ordinary kind of, European countries, you'll see, things like 20,000. 20,000 is a lot of money. You will not see most people with 20,000, which means that people either have to, go off and try and raise money by, asking family, friends, parents, and that is generally not something you can do, because if you don't, obviously, most students will not have 20,000 of their own, and then, they probably won't have people they know who've got that kind of money that they can just, give away. So what that ends up being is student loans. And this is where this show comes in, because what this does is it builds up this kind of thing whereby you're paying off your student loan, because your student loan is the equivalent of like a small house. You could buy a small house for the amount of money you go to university for. It wouldn't be a massive one, which is why I call it small, and it probably wouldn't be, amazingly placed, and, you'd probably have to, buy it in a area that probably wasn't, the most central and all that stuff, but you would be able to technically buy a house with the amount of money that you go to university for, and that's a problem, because, if you think about it, it's a very weird sort of thing, whereby you're forking over thousands just to be educated. But that's the point, because what society has said is that yes, you might be able to learn all that stuff, but no, we want you to go to university and we want you to do this. And even if society doesn't actually require that, even if you could just as well get a job with no university education, there's that fearmongering involved, whereby it's like, oh, if you don't get a university education, you'll have no job and you'll never be able to eat or live again. And that's that problem, because it makes an issue, which is, if you do that, not only will people feel forced into getting university education, even if they don't strictly speaking need it, but also what happens is employers then take that, put it in their heads and go, and where did you go to university? And then someone says, well, I couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to take out a student loan, because, interests are massive. And it's a lot of money. I've been paying that off for quite a few years, and there's, unfortunately then you're not available for the job. Obviously, this is a bit of dramatization. Most employers will not actually let you go beyond the interview stage. They won't let you come to the interviewing stage if you don't have a university education, and that of course is a problem, because that doesn't really mean anything. Because if someone has a university education, unless it's in a particular field that this particular thing is, then why would that be a consideration? Any office job, there really is no reason to say no to someone for if they have it, if they don't have a university degree. Now people do say even if even if you do have a university degree, then what'll happen is you might be on the same list, but you might be prioritized. But that is also a problem, because you don't want to just say, it's one of the things that people say we're overqualification, which is a problem for some people, which is they apply for a job and the job is just, it just does not require the amount of professionalism that they have. It does not require the amount of, if they've got a PhD, a doctorate, it doesn't require that. And then it's like, well, that makes them overqualified, and suddenly they aren't there. And that's something which is very weird, that you'd say, oh no, you can't really have this job because, you've got a doctorate in this. Doctorate in your subject. We do not need that. But you don't need university education either for the job. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying you don't need it as in the employer won't ask for it. I'm saying that you don't actually need it to actually do the job. Because there are some things in which you need to know things. If you need to do a job, sometimes, you just need to know certain things to do the job. Otherwise, you just can't do the job. But there are other things which do not require that. And that's the point. It's at this level where you start going, well, suddenly now people who are wealthy and it's another thing that you see, because people who are wealthy are able to, if they want to go to a high class university, they can pay for rent, they can pay for the university without having to rack up debt. One of the main things you'll find with debt is interest, which is weird, because it's not really weird as a concept, because it makes sense for banks to be like, well, if you want to take some of our money, or really anything now, because a lot of not just banks, but even just kind of more unsavory people, more unsavory than banks. I'm not insulting anyone who works in a bank. I'm just saying banks as an institution aren't always looked upon as angels. But what I'm saying is that I'm not insulting people who work in a bank. I'm just saying, as a thing, as an idea, banks are helpful, but also, a little bit, what I'm saying is that it doesn't really make sense as a business concept to give away money and then just take it back. But as a moral concept, it does. There is that thing where you call it an interest-free loan, where you can get that from family and friends at times, whether you're setting up a business or just going to school. It's not a gift, but it is still in a way a gift. It's like, well, this is our money. Here's 10 grand. Obviously it took 20 people to get this together, and we had to take it out of our savings, but we're not going to get an interest from this. So, but you are paying it back, and that's the sort of thing. It's whereby if you don't have this sort of interest thing, then you're actually saving money, but you can't really, at this level. If you're wealthy, then suddenly it looks like a lot more doors are opening up for you, because you're able to avoid that debt, which means you are able to live life with a lot less payments out. And also, more than that, this level of you're able to go to a high class place, you're able to pay for this, you're able to do this, that, the other, and this person can't pay for it or has to take out a massive student loan, and then they are left with a massive bill and you're not. And that really does, create inequality problem, because it means that if you're not wealthy, then you have to pay the high fees with either just not being able to go, or just with a student loan, which will cost a fortune and will put you in debt for many, many years to come. But that's an issue, because if you look at that inequality doesn't go, because student debt isn't something which is just gone. While you can get grants in some countries, not all countries, but in some countries you can get grants and you can get your fees reduced, it's still at the end of the day a lot of money you have to pay back because of that interest and because of the actual loan. There is a tremendous amount of money to be paid back, and there's a tremendous amount of debt there. And that means that people run into the inequality thing again. Like, for example, these videos are free. Obviously, this podcast wouldn't really be much of a benefit. Sorry if that's, if if you wasted this much time. I think we're at 10 minutes. Sorry, not 10. 10 minutes now. Yeah, so sorry if that wasted time, but we do have other videos available that are, I think, up to second level, at least second level education kind of thing. And that's the thing. Like, if you're watching these videos and you know all the things, then in some cases, you if you're watching this kind of thing, then you actually you do know the thing. If you know the stuff that are in these videos, then you probably know the thing. But it doesn't mean you can pass an exam, because exams aren't structured like that. Exams aren't structured whereby, you know how to do this, you know how to do this thing, or you know how to do this activity, or you know how to do this academic thing. But it doesn't work like that, because in an exam, which is very strange, I will talk about later, they are a lot more different from what they actually should be. So join us next time. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk About Society and Politics. If you'd like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that'd be good. Subscriptions apparently are a good thing to have. So thank you if you did that. And thank you in advance if you're going to do that. If you want to view other videos, personally, I think that's better. But I think in the growth sense, apparently subscribers are better. But I think viewing other videos is good. I think it's good. And thank you if you have viewed other videos. That's good. And if you're going to view other videos, once again, thanks.